Hi, my name is Cassia Barker. This is Speech 275, Week 8, Course Project Presentation. Today, in the Domestic Violence and Many Faces, I will be explaining to you how psychological abuse, known as chronic verbal aggression, is part of a family domestic violence situation. And some of the acts that follow that is confinement, isolation, verbal aggression, intimidation, dignity, and self-worth. Mayo Clinic staff stated psychiatric disorders are grouped in three clusters: Cluster A, Cluster B, and Cluster C. Many people having one personality disorder has symptoms and signs of having more than just one disorder. I have picked one disorder from each cluster and will be explaining to you in details of how they are connected to psychiatric disorder. Cluster A, antisocial disorder. It is characterized by odd and eccentric behavior and thinking. For example, aggression, persistent lying, using allies, and conning others. And lastly, repeated violation of the right of others. Secondly, Cluster B, borderline personality disorder. That is defined by dramatic, overly emotional behavior. It is seen through extreme perfectionist people and also having the desire to have the control of other people. Thirdly, Cluster C, obsessive compulsive disorder. It is defined as by anxious and fearful thinking behavior. And what follows that is desire to be in control of people, preoccupied with details and orderliness. And lastly, being an extreme perfectionist. Why is the majority of the time the abuser is never aware that they are the cause of the issues? What is causing this destructive manner, and how do we stop it? One of the causes are genes. Certain personality traits may be passed on to by your parents through inherited genes. These traits are sometimes called temperaments. If the mother experiences poor birth outcomes, it can affect the fetal and the psychological distress during pregnancy. This may negatively affect the fetal growth, says Zaya 2016, page 2. And result, later in life, the baby will be more vulnerable to diseases. Secondly, your environment. This involves the surroundings you grew up in, events that you've occurred, and relationships with family members and others. Bernstein stated in 2014, page 1, having a bad relationship with the parents in most cases is the father. And lastly, they were psychologically abused in their younger years. Psychiatric disorders has its consequences. According to FBI, a woman is abused every 15 seconds. Perichin 2013, page 1, stated that there are solutions and there are solutions out there restoring one's relationship and realizing they need to cut their losses. Some of the solutions are: we are ultimately the ones to decide to stop the abuse or not at all and see sound ways to solve it. It is critical to become aware of the fact that all of us have the same right to be respected. And it is important to realize also when it is time to cut our losses within the relationship. People only change if they decide to do so. And lastly, there are ways to help the abuser and the victims to find healthier ways of changing or escaping their violent life. but they have to make the first step. Psychiatric disorders take a major effect in families. In some cases, it escalates to sexual abuse. In conclusion, Jillian is going to present to us how sexual abuse is one of the key elements to family domestic violence. Thank you.